Look up What is a Soccer Anyway on Instagram, TikTok.
Are you an NPC streamer?
Lightning.
Ooh, yummy. 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 Thank you for the
Balloon.
roses. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses.
They smell so good. They smell so good.
Fuck, bro.
Bro, y'all see NPC Miles Morales go off on a dude? Did you guys see that video?
No.
He broke character.
Yeah, somebody was like, I'd never stoop that low to him when he was like out in public, and he's like, you never stoop how low, mother? I started.
My bad, G. My bad.
I don't know. I don't know what my reaction would be if NPC Miles Morales started G checking me. Yeah, I definitely followed that. I totally can tell you who won the Stanley Cup this year.
The Golden Knights.
Yeah, see, he knows.
Yeah, they played against the I was doing some research, so we could talk about this. And basically, the top 5 or 6 leagues seems a little inconsistent in the world. I mean, you have the English Premier League, is usually ranked 4th. And then you have Indian Cricket League, which is usually ranked 4th or 5th. And then the other 4 in that are, of course, the big 4 in America. You know, we got NFL number 1, of course, NBA number 2, MLB number 3, and of course we also have NHL in there. They're usually either ranked above or behind the Premier League. I was kind of curious, as sports fans, what do you guys feel like what makes you tune in on a Thursday night to watch an NBA game or an NHL game? What keeps you on the ropes?
Yeah, for me, it first started with the big stars, watching like Kobe or Drew Brees or someone like that. But then as you kind of get more into a specific sport and get your own team, you kind of look at everything. You look at the player development. You look at obviously everyone's gonna look at the big stars. You're excited about what are the narratives for this year or whatever, for MVP, in the NBA, the narrative for MVP is literally going to change year by year. It's sometimes it's all right, who's the best player? Sometimes it's who's the best player on the best team?
And sometimes they just give it to a guy because he keeps crying about it.
Yeah, sometimes you get a pity award where you literally aren't as good as someone. But I digress. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole bunch of things. I mean, if I'm casually watching 2 teams I don't really care about, it's probably gonna be big stars. I may want to see Mahomes one day. I may want to see Josh Allen one day. Something like that. I may want to see.
And of course,
KD,
when they're
whatever.
playing each other, like a Mahomes versus must-see TV.
Yeah, you want to see a marquee matchup against either 2 good quarterbacks, 2 good, Premier League teams, whatever. It depends on the league, of course, but you if you're watching casually, it's probably stars. But when you really get engrossed into a team, you're gonna look at basically everything, right?
So, what about for you, Aidan?
Man, honestly, it's just kind of for hockey, it's you would just kind of watch how the players develop and shit from when they got drafted. We got Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner in 2018, 2017, 2018, something like that. But from when they came to the team to seeing them play now is such a big step in their development. Plus I don't know, hockey's just one of those sports that encourages being fucking rough and tough on the fucking ice. I don't know any other sport that would allow a fight and it not end in a fine or suspension. You know what I'm saying? In hockey, bro, you can throw knuckles, throw fists. You could just go sit down in the box for 5 minutes, think about what you did wrong, and then you go back to the bench after that.
I love that.
They put you in timeout. It is one of the best things in all of sports.
It's adult timeout. It's literally adult timeout.
More sports should implement that. I agree.
Right?
Because honestly, that kind of stuff happens in practices and stuff where you just kind of the tempers flare a little bit, and you may throw a couple elbows or whatever, and then you kind of get over it.
We all played high school sports. How many of us got in a fight during practice?
Oh yeah, dude.
Calvin
Put
can
my
tell
hand
you. Calvin can tell you about a time I ripped a kid's helmet off and almost hit him with mine.
Nice. Hey, bro. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
I'll find you one of these days, Anthony. I'll find you.
Oh, I didn't like that kid either. I didn't
No one
like
liked
him
that
from middle
kid.
school either. Yeah,
Jordan Reed saved
dude.
my life that day, though. He laid on top of me when I was about to.
We're gonna say I don't know what they do for American teams, but I know for Canadian teams, if it's like just an NHL day of like just Canadian teams, they call it like Hockey Night in Canada.
Right.
So it'll be like Ottawa and Vancouver plays, and then like Montreal and Toronto or probably play or something like that. But like it's kind of cool because like they'll do like what's called like Hockey Town or some shit because like sometimes you'll get a weekend where like 2 or 3 instances of just Canadian teams are playing. So it'll be like the Friday, a bunch of teams will play Saturday, Sunday, same kind of thing, but they'll bring like camera crew, film set, whatever the case may be, and like broadcast booth to a like specific town. And I can't remember when, but it was last hockey season. It was like 8 months ago, whatever. They did Hockey Town in like Grimsby, where I live, which was dope. So like they had like all the live hockey for
Yeah,
NHL broadcast through Grimsby. And like if you were standing behind the broadcast booth, you could like see yourself on TV. It was
there's
dope.
actually a college football thing like that where
College game day.
college game day where they go to a college every weekend, and they do basically the same thing where it's like they cover all the games, but like they're there at that game and like all the fans are around them and people are holding up signs and all that. It's always lit. But that's actually something else I wanted to talk about. I didn't because I know also NHL has their yearly series where everyone plays on the outdoor rink. What is
Winter
that?
Classic.
Yes, the Winter Classic.
Dude, that is awesome. Winter Classic, dude, that runs back. Like, I don't know if you know what the original 6 hockey teams are from like
Wait. Let me. Buffalo, New York, Ottawa, Vancouver, Montreal, and I'm missing one.
Montreal's one, New York, Toronto, Boston, Chicago, and Detroit.
Okay, I was way off.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's game is always much. But yeah, so like you have the Winter Classic and hockey, baseball. They brought back the Field of Dreams series, which I don't know why they ever stopped the Field of Dreams series because it's one of the coolest things ever. Where
Yankees. It was Yankees White Sox. It's funny because Yankees White Sox. That was an insane one. The second one was meh because there was 2 bad teams. It was the Cubs and the Reds. But the first one was White Sox and Yankees, and it ended off on a walk of home runs. It's like it literally ended as perfectly as it possibly could. So
I don't know why the NFL doesn't have anything like that. The NBA also, NBA should have something like that as well. They don't really, huh?
It's not like a special.
Well, there's the Hall of Fame game, everyone's favorite game of the year.
Oh yeah, the greatest game of all time, and then
the Community Shield of the NFL.
Yeah, the Community Shield. Well, people care way more about the Community Shield. I didn't even watch the Hall of Fame game.
Me neither. Who the heck watches the Hall of Fame game?
You know what's kind of awesome about the Winter Classic though? It counts as a regular season game regardless of the weather.
Oh.
So if it's snowing, fucking tough tits. You better play through that snow. There was one game where it was like lightly snowing outside, but like, oh, dude, the broadcast was fucking dope. Oh, like
I will tell you, one of the best NFL games I've ever watched. And Calvin, you'll remember this one just because we're talking about heavy snow, right?
Eagles-Lions.
Eagles-Lions. Dude, that game was insane. They were playing in like 8 inches of snow. And
they were.
Sean
it was
McCoy
high.
ran for like almost 200 yards. Guys were slipping and falling. The hits were so hard, like just because like guys were trying to get off the field and get to the warmers. Like everyone was playing like crazy.
They had snow all on their face,
in their
and
masks,
stuff.
and their like you couldn't even see. I don't remember who was wearing. I think the Detroit was on the road, right? It had to have been.
Yeah,
because Detroit plays indoors. And they were like you couldn't even see their names because they were wearing the white jerseys.
I was gonna say wearing white's just like an advantage at that point.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Bro.
And so like that's another thing. I think we didn't include it in the list, but those big crazy games where like they do something different, like the NFL International Series less so, but like the Winter Classic, the Field of Dreams series.
You know what's kind of a special privilege in the NBA though? Christmas Day game.
Christmas Day, that is true. I
That
was
is
thinking
a
of
good
that.
point.
The special uniforms.
Also for the NFL Thanksgiving games.
Oh yeah, NFL Thanksgiving.
Dude. Question. What
What's
are
up?
y'all's opinions on sports teams' alternate jerseys?
Love them.
Love them.
Yeah, I like seeing an alternate jersey. Because sometimes it gets boring seeing the same colorway all the time. And especially in there's alternate jerseys every year that are used a lot in soccer in the Premier League. That's the league I watch most of the time with soccer. They always have a 1, 2, 3 third jersey. And it's normally pretty over the top, pretty interesting. Doesn't look like they're normal colorways most of the time. And I like stuff like that.
I actually
really
learned the reason for that because in the Premier League and in most soccer leagues, you don't have a standardized home colors, and then your away color is always white or vice versa, right? Like the Cowboys, for example, they always wear white at home, and then they always wear their blues away. But since that's not standardized in soccer, you have to have a third shirt in case your away shirt clashes with the home team shirt. Or like Liverpool's away shirt this year, horrendous as it is. Well, if another team if they played Real Madrid, who wears white at home, well then they would need another shirt. So player development, I think one of the best things in sports, absolutely, is like watching some kid come up from 18 years old and turn in amazing seasons, whether that's in college or if he plays in a league where you actually can get drafted at 18.
Right.
Who are some guys off the top of your guys' heads who you just remember like seeing them in college or even hearing about them when they were in high school still, and then getting to watch them come up and dominate their leagues?
I remember watching Cam Jordan. Like year one, man had like 2 sacks. Now this man is just constantly getting 10 sacks every year. Probably gonna be Hall of Famer one day. Just one of the best Saints players of all time. Is Iron Man. It's just weird because like I remember I'm like, oh, he's probably gonna be pretty good. But now I'm like, dang, like this is our guy. This is our captain. This is our leader. This is our emotional leader on the field. It's kind of weird. I'm like, dang, I've been watching this guy's whole career because I started watching around 2011. So I literally watched from beginning to end. It's kind of crazy to think about. And I'll be sad when he retires one day. But yeah, it's just like he's one of those guys that I watched this whole time, watched his whole career. And it's like, wow, it's pretty crazy.
What about you for you, Aidan?
And I'm going to have to say probably Sidney Crosby. Bro came in the league, super young kid. Doesn't know what he's doing, just comes into the league thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna rock everybody's shit. First season, 39 goals, 63 assists.
God damn.
And then continues to average around that number every season after it. So 36-84 for the 06-07, 24-48 for 07-08, up until 2011 to 2012, where he got hurt. 8 goals, 29 assists, ended up sitting the rest of the season, missed playoffs. And then when they made their three-peat Stanley Cup run from 2015 to 2018, he had in total over 110 goals and over 170 assists within just those 3 seasons.
Yeah. So it's like those guys, they'll always be in our minds. Like it's one of the best parts of sports. Like it creates an amazing story. Like whether it's Cam Jordan, like yeah, he was great at Ohio State, struggled a little bit to catch up with the pace, and now he is. How old is Cam Jordan? 32, 33?
32, 33, yeah.
Yeah, and
been playing with us for a while.
No sign of him stopping anytime soon. Sidney Crosby, obviously, I don't know much about hockey, but he is one of those guys I do know because of that story. Like just because he came in and instantly was a hit.
What is he, like the Patrick Mahomes of?
Like the way he came up, honestly, like kind of LeBron, bro. If you said Sidney Crosby to like anyone within that like I would say 2010 to like 2017, like they would tell you instantly, like, oh yeah, I know him, hockey player, like Pittsburgh Penguins, like instantaneously. And like he came up with another guy, Alexander Ovechkin. You probably know of him.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. So like their rivalry was kind of pretty heavy, right? Like they're ending like their career cycle right now, bro. Like look at LeBron. He's getting old too now, man. Came up,
21st season.
kid from Akron.
The kid from Aidan. Let's go. Yeah,
This
that's a long time ago.
This is his 21st season.
Yep. Like
Crazy.
and like just like the way he came up with the Cavs, bro. Absolutely dominated. Comes to Miami, goes back to the Cavs for a little bit.
Wins there.
Says fuck, wins again.
Goes to the
right?
biggest team on earth. Wins
Those
there.
are the Penguins won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row and made a finals appearance in the third year. They could have had the cup 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I remember he, watching Steelers games. He would show up to games, of course, and like the stadium would go wild for him.
Well, that's unheard of.
Which
in
that
any
kind
other
of brings
sport.
us on to talking about big stars, just like those players who, turn the league inside out, make like everyone. So I kind of thought we could play a game here, where we all could name. I'll name a league, and we each try to name the most popular athlete in that league. So we'll start with the most obvious one on earth, NFL.
Tom Brady.
Well, currently playing, I should say.
Oh, currently playing?
Yes.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Patrick Mahomes, just like, he's the face of the league. He's the best player in the league. He plays the most important position in the league. He's a game definer. His highlights are unreal. Like, those type of guys are awesome. I mean, in the NBA right now, maybe there's a little bit more of a debate, but who would you guys say?
After last year, I'd say Jokic, but I don't know if that'll last today. Like, it could easily be honest.
Because Jokic isn't even on my radar. If you ask me who the biggest star in the NBA is.
Oh wait, wait. Actually, you know what? I guess I'm confusing like having the player having the best.
Yeah, not the best player
with
necessarily.
Okay, LeBron. Yeah, still LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron. Or I think you could argue. I think there's an argument for Steph Curry.
Yeah, but it's LeBron.
Oh, MLB, biggest show. We all agree on this one, right?
Shohei
Ohtani. He's There's only one Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, one. He's a generational athlete. So yeah,
he's next level. And then one that we're not going to know. You're going to have to help us out on this, Aidan. Who's the biggest star in NHL?
I don't know. Like the cover athlete for NHL last year was Trevor Zegras, but he's on the Anaheim Ducks, and they're not like a top contender team. Yeah, they're not at all a top contender team. So like, if you want to say Trevor Zegras, go for it, because like face of the NHL for this year, that's totally fine, I guess. But like, honestly,
is he the most notable? Like who's like the most? Who's like the biggest? Like who's like? If
you could put it two ways, because there's goaltenders, right, and then there's players. Like if you want to talk players, like there's like Steven Stamkos, Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin, like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. Like there's so many just like good players that you can just name off the top of your head. But like no, there's a lot of good athletes, and like I don't think the NHL does a good enough job singling out single athletes from teams. You know what I'm trying to say?
I don't think they do a good enough job singling out teams from
anything. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they did a good job singling out their league.
MLB has an issue too, but it's easy to do with Shohei. But yeah, like the average guy isn't gonna know the fourth best player on the team most of the time. So NBA is super marketable though. So
yeah, well, the NBA, I think as far as international appeal goes, the NBA kind of has everyone beat. I'm saying out of the American sports. Sorry, I should be more clear. Yeah, I should be more clear. The MLB or the NFL has the MLB though did make a big step out with the bringing back the World Baseball Classic. That is gonna be a big deal for MLB in the years to come.
Well, I think Japan had it said 85% of the televisions were watching that game, or like the final or something like that, or maybe even higher. Like an insane number. Like almost everyone in Japan was watching.
Bro, let's talk about narratives let's talk about some narratives you guys have fallen in love with over the years. I know for me, this year, one of the main reasons I got into soccer is because the town where I used to go to a bar and watch soccer, and even though I didn't care about soccer, got an expansion team. And then that expansion team is currently at the top of their conference in the MLS. We don't have to talk about Leagues Cup. We're not going to talk about the Leagues Cup. But they're currently at the top. And that narrative is just so exciting. You know, it drives people to it, right? It's like this team that literally just started playing together this year is beating top competition.
It's like the Golden Knights a couple years ago.
Exactly. Like the Golden Knights. That was a story everyone followed because they came in as an expansion team and they made it all the way to the final. Is that right,
Yep.
Aidan?
Yep. And then they lost.
They lost the final, but they were there.
This year they won.
Yeah, and it's
So,
only
like, they made up for it. It's been
4
5
years,
years, dude.
4 years later, yeah.
Yeah, like kind
I mean, to win in your first 5 years, that's insane. Like some
And
teams
unheard of.
some teams will win 50 years and never won. You know.
Seattle reopened their franchise in hockey. Seattle Kraken, right? First year, dude,
Mhm.
they made it into second round of the playoffs. First year.
Is it? What is it about the NHL that makes these like expansion teams just go crazy? Like, is it just easier in the NHL? You think, or like what?
Can I share my theory on that, and you can
Yeah, go on.
correct
Hit
me?
it up, buddy.
Is
Hit it up,
so
hit it up.
like because there's an expansion draft, right? And there's just like the NHL, probably because like what we were talking about earlier about how bad they are about marking individual players. There's just tons of really talented players who are undervalued. Is that like true? Is that the whole thing? Is that part of it?
There is a lot of players that are like playing above what they're getting paid for sure. But that goes back to like how like the NHL is kind of underfunded in a little bit of ways, because like can't lie, and hockey's a difficult sport for the average person. Like skating in general is hard,
Yeah, fuck that.
right? Let alone skating at fast speed and then being able to get hit and controlling the puck with a stick and then shooting that puck with a stick, right? So it's like you got to take it like, and no discredit from like NFL soccer
And some dude
players,
might
right?
try to
Like,
fight you.
right? Like running is tough, cardio is tough, right? Like that is right. Catching the ball is tough, kicking the ball is tough, right? But like hockey is probably one of the hardest sports, in my opinion, that you could play on this planet. So when it comes to players, it's like, you know, you kind of want to like give them for what they are face value, but there's just not enough money to go around. So yeah, there is definitely cases of undervalued players seeking other teams to like get paid more.
I mean, I just can't imagine like an NFL expansion team winning year one, or like an NBA team, like especially NBA, like that would never happen. But like, or
I mean,
you know,
talking about the NFL,
easily-
what's the last expansion team to win? Seahawks?
I don't even know.
Those-
It's so
the
hard to win the Super Bowl.
The Texans, the Jaguars. No.
Panthers.
The Panthers made it.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers and the Seahawks were both founded in the 70s. They both only won their first Super Bowl this last decade.
Nice.
Or no, that's not true. The Tampa Bay won it in the
2001.
I forget about that.
Brady.
2001.
So Tampa
2002,
Bay
yeah.
probably had the shortest time. The Ravens don't count. That is a lie. The Ravens were not founded in 1996.
The thing with like the expansion team is it's kind of like scary because A, you don't know if there's going to be like a solid fan base behind it. Like you would hope so because it's a big city, right? But like B, it's like it's all rookie guys, dude. It's all guys that are like fresh
Right.
to the league, like don't know, like, and that's fine, that's cool. Like young buck, young blood talent, like that's cool. But like you got to have some sort of like veteran status on the team or like body that you can like trust, especially in hockey.
You need a captain out there.
And like it's not like they didn't have a captain because I'm pretty sure they did name one guy a captain, but like he's a rookie too, man. Like
Yeah.
right, like they're all fresh meat to everyone's eyes in the NHL. Like no discredit, but
circling
you
back,
need I know one that I meme a lot. But you know, you remember the triple double spotlight for Russell Westbrook. That was really funny. I mean,
that was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. Like they were not winning nothing. We knew they were never going to win nothing. But hey, Russ was getting triple double.
But it was the reason
getting...
that on a Wednesday night when you got home, you might turn on a Thunder game just to see what Russell Westbrook was doing.
Exactly. Like it would make you want to watch games you probably would not like. You would watch a random game, the Thunder versus the Pacers on a Tuesday night when normally you'd probably just be chilling. But like no, like I think I really did like that. I really did love that plot line. I know it's kind of meme now. Like everyone is like, "Oh, Russ got a triple double." Like it's kind of a joke now, but but back then it was crazy because it still is crazy. It still is crazy that someone can get that many triple doubles in a season. So
You?
So, funny enough, there's a guy in the league that, especially as a Toronto fan, Toronto, we hate Montreal, but we
Fair.
also hate Boston as well.
I
Boston,
hate both those places too. So, and I'm not from Toronto.
dirty team, bro.
I agree.
Like them.
Dirty
They're
cities.
super fucking filthy.
Racist cities.
Racist cities.
Agreed. But there's a player on Boston. His name's Brad Marchand. He's so not liked in like the NHL and whatever that we literally like his nickname is Cousin Fucker.
Cousin Fucker is wild.
Did he fuck his cousin?
No, they just like that's how much we disrespect him, right? Like we don't like him. He's just a dirty player.
Is he from Alabama?
I'm not sure. He is Canadian, actually. No, he's Canadian, but he's
gotcha.
friendly
so
fire.
So is he from
much.
like Saskatchewan? Then what is there a place in Canada that's like the Alabama of Canada? Is it Saskatchewan? I feel like
Nova Scotia.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a whole lot of incest there, or what?
A little bit. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of crackheads and like alcoholics in Nova Scotia.
Well, they're so high they don't know who's their cousin or not.
Exactly.
Hey, we've all been there.
There was a game. There was a game in January of 2020 where Boston was playing. Who were they playing here? They were playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they brought it all the way into a shootout. And Brad Marchand. Oh, sorry, correction. They were playing the Philadelphia Flyers. Brought it all the way to the shootout. Philadelphia scores, Boston scores, and then Philadelphia scores again, which forces Boston to have to score to like stay alive. Brad Marchand goes up to take the penalty shot. What does he do? Barely scrapes over the puck. The puck moves, but he doesn't have control of it, and he skates by it. So what do the refs do? They count it as touching the puck, and he lost it. So now they don't get to redo it, and the Philadelphia Flyers won that game 6-5.
You love to prey on
your favorite story is a hater story. I love it.
Look at this. I gotta show you this really.
Your favorite story is him failing.
Like he was just a dirty player in general, but when that happened, everyone was like, "Yeah, fuck you, Marchand. You deserve that. You deserve."
Kind of funny because that's exactly what happened in the Community Shield. Is like nobody cares about the Community Shield. It's a joke trophy, but because Man City lost, everyone loves it now.
Wait, one more narrative I want to talk about real quick is Shohei Ohtani's MVP season. Amazing, just seeing him, just seeing the narrative of like a player who's an amazing pitcher, an amazing hitter. Like that was something I've never seen before, and it's so hard to do either or. And the fact that he was like damn near Cy Young level and MVP level just with his bat, it's just something that was amazing to watch.
All right.
Well, yeah, highlights. Yeah, highlights is a big one because it's like there's those are those big plays that like you can think of for years to come, and like a big moment, a game-winning shot or whatever.
Aidan doesn't give a shit about soccer, but Aidan, you were bought into those highlights I just showed you of Messi versus Dallas, right?
Of course.
Like I showed that to my mom last night. You think she doesn't care about soccer, but that is just like those moments where it's like, oh, like everything is hitting the fan and guys are making amazing plays. Like, there's a reason House of Highlights was the biggest thing on the internet for 6-7 years before Omar sold. And then how much did Omar sell House of Highlights for?
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, like if I saw like David Beckham highlights 10 years ago, I probably would have been
175 million.
Wow.
For an Instagram page.
For highlights. Let's go. But nah, I mean, like highlights are important. Like I think like I was saying before, like if I saw like some of these crazy soccer highlights 10, 15 years ago, I would have been into the sport, and
Right.
I just kind of recently got into it, and when we were watching those David Beckham clips, like those insane free kicks, I'm like, wow, this is like some stuff I've never seen before, like crazy. Watching American sports for all this time, I kind of thought I saw everything.
What is a highlight you guys can remember scrolling through Instagram or watching it on SportsCenter? Back to SportsCenter. But what's a highlight that you can remember that just will always be in your head?
The Steph Curry shot against OKC, like
Yeah,
the insane, like,
bang bang.
yeah, the bang bang one. That one sticks in my mind.
For me, I was gonna say Kobe hitting the 60th point in his final
right,
game.
yeah. The free
Antonio,
throw,
Antonio Brown game-winning touchdown against the Ravens on Christmas Day. The Immaculate Extension, they call it. What about you, Aidan?
Right.
It doesn't have to be hockey.
Well, I'm gonna say one hockey one, but it's not the NHL. It's gonna be Olympic hockey. And going back to Sidney Crosby, funny enough, he was actually drafted into the Olympic hockey team, and then he actually put up the game-winning goal against U.S. in 2016. It was. But it was the most insane rush of like fucking emotions I've ever felt. Like it was overtime, super stressful. Like it was like couple game series in the Olympics and like two of the biggest fucking teams in the Olympics, bro. Like United States and Canada. Like that's not a joke of a game. Two well trained teams, right? Like it went to overtime, 3-3, bro.
I mean, the
right?
two of the three best hockey teams ever historically.
Exactly. Plus, right? All the Canadian players from the NHL are on that Canada team. All the American players on the NHL are on that American team, right? So it was literally an NHL dream team matchup in the Olympics.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Immaculate Reception. That's another one. The catch. Oh, how did we not talk about this one? Odell Beckham's one-handed catch against the Cowboys.
That's why he has all those followers. Bro.
That is why he has all those followers.
I was watching that.
That is one of the craziest highlights of all time.
Yeah, that was insane.
That was just unbelievable.
When I was watching it, I was like, okay, it's supposed to be incomplete. Like I was barely even. I'm like, whoa, he got that! Whoa! When they showed the replay, I was like, wow, that has made it. And from then on, every kid is just trying to one-hand catch and be like,
everybody.
It's Odell. It's Odell.
Love you. Have a good day. Enjoy,
Billy, my boy.
Thank you for joining us.
You guys gonna
talking about player development specifically? The MLS. I mean, we did some research and could not find one Saudi player who was developed and ended up going to a top 5 league. Is that correct?
I'm pretty sure that was the case, but maybe some slipped through the cracks. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But even if there was, there's really not one you can name right now, which says a lot. I mean, whereas the MLS this past transfer window completed 33 transfers, during the January transfer window, completed 33 transfers to Europe. Obviously, there's lots of players. You and I are big fans of Alphonso Davies. He is, of course, an MLS original. There's players that we look at already right now in MLS, whether that's Cade Cowell, that's Jesus Ferreira, and we know that they're going to develop into players who are going to be in those top leagues. And I just don't think you get that in the Saudi Arabian League.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you think about that. Like we put it into perspective like that, where like you have all these numbers you can say with just transfer windows from just last year or in January or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It's kind of jarring when it comes to Saudi. Obviously they have a lot of players coming in at the moment because of their big money and whatnot. But when it comes to like player development and stuff like that, they just seem to be way behind the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what their academy system looks like. The academy system in America has been very criticized, but it has been significant. A lot of people will say, "Oh, well, it costs too much money to play soccer in America," but they're just unaware of the way that has changed in the past decade. I'm not sure why
Yeah.
they aren't aware of that, but you can play for St. Louis, DC, Orlando, Miami, all of them, and a bunch of other teams I didn't just name have free academies starting from 8U. So they are definitely changing that in America. It's going to be one of the reasons I think the MLS is going to be continuing to advance here in the next few years, was accessibility. And obviously that when we're talking about accessibility, we're talking about how easy it is to watch games. Now, for me and you, we can watch any soccer game in the world at any point in time, but the league isn't generating any revenue off of the way we watch soccer games,
Right, exactly.
But of course, the MLS has a partnership now with Apple TV, and Apple, I don't have an iPhone, I don't have a Mac, but Apple is one of the more creative and innovative tech companies in the world as far as creating new content. And we could actually pull up here. But if I go to Apple TV and I go to my MLS season pass, there it is. Like we already have advertisements up for the next game. And specifically, if you said, hey, I'm coming to MLS because I want to see Messi, well, you pay your $13.99 and bang. Every one of Messi's goals so far for the MLS, videos of him in training, interviews with him, interviews with his coaches, interviews with his teammates, explaining the League's Cup. And you don't have anything like that for Saudi Arabia. There's nothing even close. You really only have 4 teams in Saudi Arabia. Outside perspective right now in the MLS, you only have 1 team, but it's not the case. LAFC is an absolutely dangerous club.
No, yeah. I mean, the fact that it would be hard for you to root for. I mean, obviously, if I'm moving to Saudi Arabia and I already have a team, of course, that's different. But like from the outside looking in, why would you ever want to root for a team that isn't owned by the government if you're talking about the Saudi Arabia League? You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no hope. Basically, you're not gonna sign the big players. You're not gonna get a Ronaldo. You're not gonna get a Neves. You're not gonna even be able to attempt to get an Mbappe or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you don't even have a shot. So it's like you might as well not even exist at that point, right?
Or a big, N'Golo Kante fan, great. If you're a big Ronaldo fan, fantastic. But I just don't see where you go from that, and that kind of brings us into the next point, which is the big stars, which Saudi Arabia, of course, is going to be winning in that category for a little bit. I believe they just approved another $4.5 billion into developments of the club of the league from the Public Investment Fund.
That's a lot of money.
Which, yeah, a ton of money. But at the same time, Mbappe has turned down the opportunity to go there. Osimhen turned down the opportunity to go there. I don't know any other big ones off the top of my head. Do you?
I mean, I just don't. I guess the thing is, when it comes to the big stars, I don't really see MLS getting young stars.
Yeah.
From Europe. Like, are you going to get a 22-year-old phenom who's coming up through Liverpool? No, probably not.
Probably not.
So when it comes to those guys, like, yeah, I don't know why they would do that. They're pretty young, 24 and 24, 25-year-old guys. I don't see them wanting to do that. Of course, Neves from Wolves is pretty young, like 28. So they are getting relatively young guys, but then, Conte and Benzema and Ronaldo, those guys are all 30 plus. So they're kind of near the end of their careers and stuff, kind of like how Messi's 36. I don't see them getting guys who are young up and comers. I think they're mostly going to be getting guys who are like near the end of their career, already accomplished everything, and then kind of want to just go there and get the bag. Honestly,
I mean, funny enough, we went through a list of guys who've gone to the MLS, and it's kind of almost a similar list. Like the guys who probably would have gone and played in MLS 10 years ago are now just going to go to Saudi Arabia because there's going to be Brinks trucks waiting for them when they get there, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like like Thierry Henry and Pele, etc.
Yeah, Thierry Henry, Pele, Frank Lampard, David
Wayne
Beckham,
Rooney.
Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, those guys were not young when they
They
took
weren't.
over.
None of them were. They were all definitely past their primes. Um, but at the same time, they still were able to prove a lot. David Beckham still won 2 championships with the Galaxy, went to a third. Messi right now is on track to win, or well, not necessarily win, but he's in the final 8 of the League's Cup, which we have plenty. We'll see what happens on Friday. Had a tough one in the last one, but even if they finish in the top 8, still very, very good stuff. Still fantastic work.
Exactly, and with Messi, I mean, he's just bringing so much traction towards the sport.
Right.
Something. One, I think it was Miami versus Dallas, something like that was like the most trending word in the world one day or something like that, like something crazy on Twitter. So
I can believe it. It was
yeah,
a fantastic match.
Yeah, so I mean, and that never would have even would have been probably top 10 trending if Messi wasn't there. So it's kind of like that's kind of how it is.
He's definitely opened a door. Alba's come, Busquets has come, but I think that there's going to be guys who aren't as big as Messi, who are getting into their 30s and stuff like that, and say, hey, I could go play winning ball and be the biggest star in New York. What would be the downside of taking a deal with New York Red Bull? What would be the downside? I mean, LAFC has Vela, who was a very good player in Europe, and now is the star of LAFC. And they're another team that's just entered the 8 of the League's Cup and currently sitting at the 2nd position in their conference after coming off of a championship season this past year. Opportunity there as well that I think a lot of guys are going to continue to see. And of course, we've talked about it a lot, but I don't think actually on the channel yet. The next 3 years, a lot more guys are going to see these stadiums. They're going to see these fans, and they're going to see the sponsorship options. They're going to see what MLS has to offer. Messi right now is getting, I don't know, we don't know the exact number, but Messi's getting $1. We can just say confidently that Messi is getting at least $1 out of every Apple TV subscriber who subscribes to MLS right now.
That is insane. Wow.
And maybe you won't get $1, but would you say no to 30 cents for every person who signs up for MLS? Let's say you're Neymar in 4 years from now, after he plays for his next club. Would you say no to an opportunity to get 30 cents off of every Apple TV subscription?
Right, you're 35 years old or whatever, and 35, 36, and get it back. Yeah, I would do that, though.
Right. And, at the end of the day, being a star, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't come with nearly as many perks at the end of the day. Like, when you're Ronaldo, you're an exception. But not a whole lot of people. Benzema is playing very well right now in the Saudi League, and still, I don't hear as much about Benzema as I did a year ago. Benzema had come to New York FC. If Benzema had gone to Toronto and was scoring 2-3 goals in every game, we'd be hearing about him every single day.
Yeah, and the thing with Ronaldo is like you saw, he has the most followers of any. He might literally be the most famous person in the whole world. So it's kind of like not really fair to put everyone in his shoes when it comes to that. Like, Benzema, very popular as well, like over 100 million followers on Instagram, stuff like that. But still isn't nearly on the level of like a Messi, Ronaldo kind of. Like those guys were gonna be famous no matter where they could play. Yeah, they could play in Rwanda,
in the Ghana
famous.
League.
Yeah, they could play for Celtic and be most famous players. It's like it doesn't really matter where they went. And and Messi did turn down Saudi. A lot of people thought he was gonna end up going to Al Hilal. Al Hilal keeps going after everyone. They went after Messi, they went after Mbappe, now they're going after João Felix. So like they're really trying to spin it back.
They also offered weren't they also who offered Osman?
Yes, they did. Yeah, so they're trying to blow it back right now, but they just haven't been able to.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, the last thing we talked about, or the most popular thing in the poll I did, was narratives. which I think is a place that the Saudi League is severely lacking. I mean, the biggest narrative, the only thing I really hear about out of the Saudi League is how much money they're spending.
Yeah, that's the big narrative. I mean, just they gotta bring Chuck, and they can pay all these players and do all this kind of stuff, and that's kind of the main plot line. They get Al Hilal is getting all these players from Chelsea and stuff, and it seems like it's mostly kind of centered around the transfer window more than like the actual games themselves.
So what happens in November?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because at that point, the MLS playoffs will have started, and if Messi manages to drag Miami there, he'll have taken a last place team to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool narrative.
That is a fantastic narrative. I think that's another reason. I think if Miami wasn't the worst team, and David, like obviously you had that relationship with David Beckham, that was a huge influence on it. But I think something that really tipped the scales was Miami being the worst team in the league. He had a chance to take the worst team in the league and see what they can do. Nobody would have picked Miami to do anything in the Leagues Cup 2 months ago. Nobody was picking when we thought Messi wasn't going to come until after the Leagues Cup. No one was picking Miami to do anything in the Leagues Cup. And now they're in the final 8.
Well, when you get Messi and you get his old Barca homies, that's what happens.
It is what happens, but I mean, it's also just a fantastic narrative. Messi coming back down twice in one game, and the highest trending, most watched sports event of that night in the world. Like
that's nuts.
It's nuts, and it's a great story. It's a great story, and that's what people love. People love stories. Sports is fantastic medium for stories. At the end of the day,
right.
That's what makes sports. Stories and highlights is what it's all about. And I don't get that. I've looked for it in Saudi Arabia. I've looked for that, and it's not there.
Exactly.
It's like Ronaldo. I think that they're about to play in the Premier or in their Cups final.
Yeah.
And I think I saw 2 posts about it.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see posts about it, but you'll see posts every time he scores.
And it's just a picture of Ronaldo. You know what I mean?
Yes, right.
But I think we talked about this a little bit. Like, Robert Taylor has become one of the most popular athletes on earth in a matter of 4 games with Messi.
Yeah. And just getting
in
a little
4 games, he became one of the biggest names in sports.
It's pretty wild.
And I think we looked up the guy who plays left wing for Al Nassr, and 3 articles on Google News ever. And every single one of them also featured Ronaldo.
The winger might be Mane now, so who knows? But
when he's healthy. But but it was but that's the thing though. That's the difference, right? Is they're bringing in Mane to fill in that spot, whereas Robert Taylor was already there. That was already his spot. Now Jordi Alba is his sub. Now he's getting subbed in, or he has one of the better players in Barcelona history subbing in for him in the 60th. And he's already got a brace. He's already got 1+1. You know what I mean?
Right. Pretty nuts.
I think that that is beyond everything else we already talked about, beyond player development and big stars and accessibility. I think there's just a severe lack of narratives.
Yeah.
And it just makes it incredibly difficult to buy into.
Yeah. I feel the same way about it. If Ronaldo wasn't involved in this league, like, no one really give a damn at all. I don't know if a lot of these players would have went if Ronaldo didn't go first. I could say that at least. So he has to have that impact, but I don't know. It is interesting because, like we've said, like since it's like what the 4 teams owned, it really is like, okay, follow one of those 4 teams or or screw off. Like, there's no point even following anyone else.
No, I think LA Galaxy has surpassed the Angels in popular or in average fan attendance. LAFC is getting close. You know,
Angels do suck, but yeah, fair
Angels
enough.
do suck. but they have Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout.
Right.
They have two of the biggest names in the entire sport, and this team that's middling right now in the league and had a pretty average performance in the Leagues Cup, Galaxy. They have a history though. Been LA's team for 20 years. And,
exactly.
And they did have their big stars. They did have Donovan. They did have Beckham. And now they have, what's his name? The Argentinian guy. Rui Puig?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. The El Tráfico was the most viewed, on July 4th, was the most viewed sports event in July.
It's pretty crazy.
And that's a regular season matchup, LA versus LA. I just don't see the Saudi Arabian league doing anything like that. Dallas FC versus Miami definitely had more viewers than the Saudi Premier final is going to have.
Yeah, I think, and then if they never break the whole accessibility thing, if it's like impossible to find the games, then how are they ever supposed to?
But it's like, who's going to work with them? You think Rupert Murdoch is going to, the owner of Fox News, is going to take a deal with the Saudis?
Yeah, I don't know who would, but not everyone cares about that kind of stuff. Not everyone is really like tripping about it.
I know. I'm just saying that, like, where are they
going to find? Honestly, did get Nike sponsorship, so it's
they
like
got Nike. That's good for them. But I mean, is Sky TV going to put them on? Is CBS Paramount going to put them on? Is
Peacock?
Yeah, NBC. Is NBC going to put them on?
I don't know who would do it. Yeah.
I don't know. Definitely none of them.
Maybe Paramount.
I don't think anyone would take the risk of any major broadcast, because if any broadcast network takes a deal with the Saudis, I mean, I don't know how much you remember it, but the WWE, man, they lost like 20% of their viewership because of the deals they did with the Saudis. I mean, there's a historical thing you can point out. One of the bigger entertainment companies in the world, the WWE, lost revenue. Well, they didn't lose revenue, but they lost viewership because of the money they took from the Saudis. And I feel like any other broadcasting channel or broadcasting firm that decides they want to try to take a deal with the Saudi League is going to run into the same thing. So the only thing that would really be left for them to do, of course, would be to develop their own broadcasting. But, so what the biggest opportunity they're going to have is to be as big as SEC Network, the Big Ten channel. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you're going to fall. You're going to be the Big Ten channel, and you have Cristiano Ronaldo.
I don't know what the plan is, to be honest.
I don't know either. I don't know how they break that wall.
It is a lot of money.
They have plenty of money. They have the money to do it, but it's just, I guess
they will be able to throw back at someone if they need to.
We'll just keep watching Cora Lives, because that's the only place right now where we can watch it in America.
Yeah, that is true.
An illegal streaming site, technically.
Yep.
Which
that's where we watch everything.
Well,
stream.
I have Apple TV. I have Paramount Plus, so.
Right. Yeah.
That's Serie A.
That's true.
That's MLS, obviously, and Serie
So it'll be slightly legal.
Yeah, barely legal. Ayo.
Oh, whoa.
Well, I don't know. Final thoughts for you, Calvin?
Sports are lit. There's so many different things you can grasp to. You got the stars, narratives, whatever. But, over the course of my life, sports have been a big part of it. And it's really nice that I've got to add a new sport to it, soccer. I'm really getting into it, really engrossed in the Man United, in the news and everything going on with them. United stan, Mark Goldbridge, that's my guy. But
I was watching it's last night, dying, bro.
Yeah, he's hilarious, bro. Wild Waghorse. That's a Harry Potter character.
Getting sacked from his own team.
Oh yeah,
and then they rehired him.
It was the FIFA 22 playthrough.
Yeah,
The United
the
States.
United Stand FC.
That was hilarious. But yeah, no, I love sports, and yeah, I can't wait to make more content with this guy.
Awesome, man. Well, I love you. This was a great discussion. Glad we got to bring Aidan in on it and give us another perspective as well. Like,
Yes,
subscribe. Tell us what you guys want to see next.
And peace out.